forever and ever.
All right. Welcome to the L-5 podcast, everyone. My name is Jeremy.
And I'm Dana.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Corey.
And tonight we are reviewing Dr. Sleep. And so...
Hi.
For those that don't know, we do a 17-minute review. And so we will give you a 17-minute recap. We'll go into review and we're going to have some fun. So who picked this crew? I did not pick Dr. Sleep.
I picked it.
Okay.
I'm a Stephen King fan, so this was my pick. So you want me to go first?
I do.
Okay. All right. So for my 17 minutes in, and I have my phone, so I'm reading my notes here. The first thing I said is that they nailed the hairstyles of young Doc and his mom. So even though the new characters, they show some flashbacks. It was supposed to be, I guess, flashbacks from what happened after the first movie. And so they showed the two, the mother character and Doc, the little boy. And even though they weren't the same actors, they did have the same hairstyle. So I had to give them credit. I could tell they weren't the same people, but the hairstyles were spot on. So I gave them credit for that. I said, now I see why the movie is so long. We had to get a whole wordy backstory and talk about the mind box. I'm good with all of this as long as the payoff was there. So I did feel like there was a lot of talking for people who didn't remember The Shining and didn't know all that. We had to catch them up really quick. And I totally get it and understand it. But this movie was 2.5 hours. So I was like, the payoff at the end, I hope, it's worth it. I said it's a very interesting power to be able to put somebody to sleep like that. So we met the girl who could put people to sleep. And I said, I wonder what she's carving on his face. So this is before, when we stopped it, it was right. I didn't know what she was carving on his face. I just saw the two lines. I didn't know what it was supposed to be. And I said, but if her intent was that his wife would know that, I guess he was cheating on her or, worse yet, a pedophile. I'm not sure what the two lines would do, because he could just say he was mugged and they slashed his face. And that's why, his wallet, his money was gone or whatever. So I didn't really get the two lines. And so I just thought that was interesting. And then, so what I gave it right now at this point in the movie, I gave it a 3.5. I said it feels like a good thriller and I'm hoping for a good payoff. And I had not read the book, by the way. I had seen trailers, but it was initially when it came out, so it had been a while.
I can go, and I'm going to put on my rose hat. Let me see. And by the way, secret side, I told Corey I might use props. So
Okay.
You're welcome, audience. And so there was a lot in the 17 minutes because, like Dana said, I did not read this, but I knew it was out there, and I saw The Shining, which I knew that this was the sequel. Now I did know that was given, but I did not read it, and so I wanted to know like what this was about. So my first quote was, "I need to see The Shining again. I've seen it twice, but I haven't seen it in a while, at least in the last 4 or 5 years. But I know I used to watch it multiple times. So I was like, I need to see it to give context for this movie. But the way it was set up, it was going into themes and different things. I think it didn't really need to play off that just as much, but I wanted again to see what it was going to do. I put character development, oh my God, because I felt like the character development in the first 17 was pretty good. I think it was pretty solid. We typically don't get but maybe 1 or 2 characters that we get introduced to, and we got several ones, so I pretty much like that. And then I think the actor Kyliegh, she was coming later, but there was some introduction to her, but the casting was pretty smart too. And so I like that. The casting was very, to me, was pretty good. The Overlook Hotel was pretty good. Again, you're trying to revive it. And so I was curious to see, again, from The Shining, what they were going to do from that. But it was visually pretty dope. I like the visuals and the scene, but again, I haven't seen it in a while, so I was like, what are we really getting with this film? So And then again, Rose, I was like, oh, this is my character. I like a good villain. I don't know where we going. And we didn't get too much in the first 17, but I'm like, that's my girl. I like her. So yeah, I gave it a 3.5 as well. So I know Dana said 3.5. I also put 3.5.
I'll go next. So the first scenes reintroduced Danny from The Shining and a new set of characters. I'm fully engaged. I was sorry to see Danny starting out so broken, but I was ready to give it time. So I gave it a 3 to start out with as well. The people in the woods are giving me good creep vibes. I thought they were just pretty terrifying when they attacked that kid on the beach. But the lady with the hat is just about is in just about everything right now. So the actor who plays her is in a lot of stuff. And I didn't follow up to see what else she was in, but is she in Greatest Showman? Is she the singer?
Yeah, it's Rebecca Ferguson, yeah.
Never enough. That's me. 3 stars.
That was it?
That's it. That's all I wrote.
Are we used to you just like going on for like 10 minutes?
Well, I've had to edit a couple of these now, and so.
And I think Brian is looking at something different. Usually he looks down, and this time he's.
Well, it's the same. It's the same notes.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
I've got all of them. You want me to read my old ones?
No. No.
Project Power.
So I wrote for the 17 minutes. Interesting and very spooky so far. Good recreation of the Overlook Hotel scene with the little boy on the bicycle, little kid bike or whatever. It was so good that I was like, is this new? Is this just adding footage from before, like restored, or did they recreate it? So I thought that was a really good touch. I didn't like the lady who was portraying Shelley Duvall's character. I didn't really think that she could act very well, and so and I know she's portraying her. So the only thing that I could see was Shelley Duvall. I could only think of Shelley Duvall. So I didn't really match the two together. It was hard for me to separate them, right? So I didn't really like her. I did think that the movie was suspenseful enough to keep me engaged. And it was way better than The Shining, in my opinion, so far. I am not a fan of The Shining. We just recently saw it a couple of years ago, and I think that it's, in my opinion, I think it's overrated. So just from the first 17 minutes, I was like, this is actually doing it for me. The Rose character with the hat, I thought she was really engaging. And then the people, like you said, Brian, in the woods, her team was really creepy. So I was like, what's going on here? I also liked the sound design and the cinematography, which I thought was really beautiful. And I also said Jedi mind tricks with the whole Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor's character, with him playing with his mind. So at that point, I gave it 3 stars. And Rebecca Ferguson is great. She does play the singer in The Greatest Showman. Yeah, sings my favorite song.
Yeah, I've seen her in quite a few things recently. So
she's really good.
She's just everywhere now. Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
Although she was in Men in Black International, and that movie wasn't good. But I don't know if it was because of her.
Well, just because we see her and stuff doesn't mean it's all good.
Yeah, that's true.
We saw that in the theaters, right, Corey? Remind me.
Yeah, we saw that in the theater. Mm-hmm.
And the ratings was low, I think. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst movies that year.
Yeah, I now remember. Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we can go into the regular review and no spoilers. So I think that's our general ground rule.
We'll try to not spoil it.
Try not to.
I'm going to spoil it, so I'm going to let y'all know now. I'll try, but if you really don't want any spoilers, Then you should
Yeah.
watch this after you watch the movie.
Yeah, there's no promises here.
I can't
Yeah.
commit.
Warning, 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 warning.
If nobody cares, I'll jump in real quick because there's some things, I always like to talk about the things that bother me and then kind of give you the things that I like. So I'm going to start by talking because I like to end on a positive note. So a couple things that bother me. So I absolutely loved the lady character. Did you say her name was Sarah Ferguson or am I making
Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay, Rebecca Ferguson. I loved her. I think she really was that Rose character. I felt like she played it beautifully. What I did not understand is what was her whole purpose as a villain. So I felt like there was no story there. The only story was they were trying to stay alive and be more powerful. For what? Like that bothered me so bad because I can't root for a character if I have no idea why I'm rooting for them. I can't think anything of her except why she's doing this. And even though she's a villain, sometimes we like to have, I think a good villain is one that sometimes maybe you question whether they're really the villain, right? There's some humanity there with them or whatever. And I can't get that with her because I don't know why she's killing children and why she's doing anything that she's doing. It made no sense to me. What did y'all think about it?
Well, if you're semi-immortal and you've got this group of other semi-immortal folk that you hang out with, what would you choose to live in the gypsy lifestyle? I mean, vagabonds in the woods. No offense to people with RVs now, but
Yeah, they were giving people with an RV a bad name.
I think they were.
Yes, and I thought of 2 podcast members on this. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Not suck souls. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, wouldn't you think that you'd be living life just a little bit differently? Like Lestat, I mean, he didn't camp.
Exactly.
He wasn't camping.
But then also knowing there's a food shortage, right? Would I keep making people who need to eat? No, I would not. I mean, that's another thing I didn't understand. There's a food shortage. Y'all are risking death. That's why y'all are doing all this. Why are you making more people who could potentially
put those people in the Scream canisters? Yeah.
So I didn't understand it, and I may be missing something in fairness, but that kind of took away from me in that terms. And then I have to say something about the Jack Nicholson character. I had so hoped we were going to get, him to actually show up and do some type of cameo or something. And when I saw the guy who was supposed to be him, I really didn't think it was supposed to be him. I thought, I don't know, I guess I thought Doc, in my mind, just wanted it to be him, but it really wasn't technically supposed to be him. So after we watched the movie and I went to look it up, I read that the director didn't want to use FX and special effects or whatever, I guess because he thought that, it would look too cheesy or would take away from the film. But I'm sorry to say that by using this actor, who clearly is not Jack Nicholson at all, any way, shape, or form, that actually became a comedy area for me in the actual movie. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was funny because he looked so awful to me. I really hated that. We could have skipped that whole scene as far as I'm concerned. I think that took me away from the movie a little bit. Because I was like, I know he's not supposed to be Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah, I wish they had downplayed that a little bit, shot him from behind or something. I mean, they could have done something. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, to piggyback on that, the scene right before that, you get a glimpse of the Shelley Duvall's character in that room, in the hotel room, right? Well, is that a clip from the original movie? That's not the lady who's portraying Shelley Duvall, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, they reshot everything. Yeah. They reshot everything. That wasn't Shelley Duvall.
That looked like Shelley Duvall.
I'm sure it would.
Right?
I'm
pretty sure that was a different shot. I mean, that was different.
Okay, well then they should have cast a better actor for Jack Nicholson then, because that Shelley Duvall, that they tricked me on that one, but they didn't trick me on the Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, later on in the movie, the character. So what I said in the first 17 about characters slowly evaporated, like some of them during that gunshot scene. I was not, and that was one of the better parts of the movie. They were shooting out. I was like, oh, they disappearing, they out of here. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking they're going to rekindle and come back in a different spirit. No, they out of here. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I felt. It was such a long movie. I think someone said that earlier, and I want to reiterate. I wish it was short. I wish it was like an hour 20, hour 30. There was 30-minute segment. That 30 could have cut out some stuff. It didn't bore me, but towards the end, it got better. But again, that was Abra's character. That wasn't really. That was a lot of her. Again, the Kyliegh person. I was saying she carried a lot of that, and I think that's good, but I wanted some other stronger support from other characters too. So,
what's interesting about that, Jeremy, is that when we first started the movie, that was the first thing I looked at was like how I always look like how long is this movie, and I saw it was like 2:32. And to be honest with you, I felt the time, but it really didn't bother me as it was going on because it did keep me engaged. But then, like Dana was saying, when you get to the payoff. And it's not really there as far as like why the villain is doing what she's doing, blah, blah, blah. Then I was like, okay, can we go ahead and hurry this up? Because I want to know what the real thing is. But I do wish that it was shorter. I mean, it easily could have been like, an hour 45, it could have been 2 hours. But 2:32 and then not pay off at the end, I was like, I don't know. But I did find that all the characters were engaging. I really liked the young girl who was playing Abba. She was really well. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else. I'm not sure what her name was. And I liked the special effects. I thought were really cool in the movie. Like the scenes with Rose and she's flying to Abba's house.
Yeah,
that was cool.
I thought it was cool.
Doctor Strange, I was like, oh Lord, like
that was really, really cool. I like that, and even the interaction between the two of them in their minds and everything like that, that was really well done.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that the way she flew and did that just really stood out to us as being special? And here we are, like after seeing all these Marvel movies and people flying around.
Yeah,
it's like. But what they did here, it just was subtle and different in the way they just oriented. I mean, the orientation was interesting. The where it was the horizon was vertical. She was vertical and just looking down. It was I just thought it was really unique the way they did that too.
And even when she's coming back to her RV and she slams into it,
it
falls off. It felt realistic. Like it felt like you could feel that power there, so I thought all that stuff, the camera tricks and everything that they were doing there, I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, when she slammed her hand in the blood, I was like, come on, zoom in, give me the details. I know Dana like blood too. Team blood, let's go. And so I mean, they did. I give it an 8 out of 10, but I wanted them to like, if you gonna do it, let's go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that when she did come back, like you were talking about Corey, that they did knock her off of the RV, because if she had just come back into her, just like a bump into her body, that, wasn't realistic at all. I have to say, I think that was one of my favorite scenes probably in the actual movie. Another scene I wanted to talk about, and again, I understand that movies are not meant to be realistic and things like that, but when they were going back to get the baseball glove, I just thought that, like, I don't know what kind of friends y'all have, but none of my friends are going to go with me to go dig up a body. This is just not going to, and we just met like a month ago or however long they've known each other at this point. I just felt that was a little too much. I think, honestly, I would have just called the cops. And I realized why she needed to get the glove. So I understand that, but I just thought that was kind of like, it was asking a lot. I thought it was kind of weird. Like it didn't feel in any way realistic to me at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't really love that scene, and we spent a lot of time there. I felt like too, but
for as long as this movie is, did you feel like the Ewan McGregor's character had a whole lot to do?
Nope. I was gonna say that
It's a little girl.
He's
Yeah.
probably one of the least characters that I cared about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, isn't that funny? It's like doesn't it seem like it should be like he should be more present in it, and they just didn't have a whole lot there. Yeah.
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 That's interesting. Yeah.
But I thought Abra was a lot more interesting.
Oh yeah.
I thought she was too until the end. I don't know if y'all saw her when she was running through the hotel. Y'all, she was running like somebody was like, you know, the biscuits are ready. She was going, oh, okay, I'm coming, you know, or whatever. And I get she wasn't scared of anything at this point, I guess, you know, because she just looked at stuff and, you know, whatever. But if you go back and look at how she's running through that hotel, she's running like she knows nothing's going to hurt her or whatever. I didn't like that. I kind of felt like at that point she started to phone stuff in because it just felt very like, yeah, I'm going. I have to admit, y'all, so first of all, I read The Shining, the book. So when we first went to the Overlook Hotel in this, and like Corey said, it's been a couple of years since we watched the movie. I was so off balance and confused because I was like, Corey, didn't the hotel burn down? And I was like, I think some of me has some confusion with the book versus the movie. I actually had to go look it up because I was like, I know it burned down. And the funny thing is, like, I swore I saw it burn down. No, apparently I did not. But yeah, so I was getting some of this stuff kind of mixed up in my mind because it's been a while since I had seen The Shining. But I mean, for it being, I don't think the payoff for me was completely there at the end. I did enjoy watching it. I agree that the visual effects were really good. I mean, you know, it was definitely a fun watch, you know, so I don't have anything overall in terms of just to say it was a negative experience by any means at all. But as you know, I always have to point out little things that kind of bother me. Like, and I know we said, you know, trying to avoid the spoilers, so I won't say too much, but I'll say the end scene, well, not end scene, but you know, I guess the climax scene that I thought was supposed to be the climax, there was no climax, y'all. It was like, I'm like on the staircase. If I can help give you any direction as to what I was talking about, that wasn't it. After all this we've been through,
I agree with that. I will say that overall, though, it was really enjoyable. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I really didn't have any desire to see it because I wasn't a fan of The Shining. And I thought the trailers were kind of like, eh. But I ended up with a 4. It went up for me a whole point. There were some things that I didn't care for, plot holes and stuff like that. But overall, I definitely recommend it. I give it a 4.
I give it a 4 too. I think it's a pretty fairly solid 4 because I think it's worthwhile watching because it does so many things really well, and there weren't any characters I think in it that were just kind of like blah. Everybody did something. They felt vital, or they felt worthwhile. Even Abra's parents. You know, when they come and go, and I thought that they had interesting little perks or things to do in the story. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I was actually more surprised that it was so good actually, because so many Stephen King movies are not great. But the director and writer of this one actually wrote the Geralds Game, and that movie was I thought was pretty good.
I want to see that. I haven't seen it
yet. It's on our list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple from that director that's on our list. Gerald's Game, Hush, and there was another one called Before I Wake. I want to see all of those.
Yeah.
So just real quick, because I didn't get my rating, I'll give my rating too. So one thing I want to say, this kind of has 2 ratings for me, and I'll tell you why. If you were looking and thinking that this was going to be a horror movie, I would give it a rating of 3 because it is not a horror movie whatsoever. This is more of a thriller. So depending on what you thought it would be, I know a lot of people associate with Stephen King with horror. I feel like he's kind of moved away a little bit from that genre in his later books. But anyway, so from a horror perspective, I would have given this a 3. But since I see it more as a thriller, and I think that's what it is, I'm staying with my 3.5 rating, only because I didn't feel like the payoff was there. But between Abra and Rose, I just really like their characters, their acting, and then some of the special effects we talked about earlier. So I would give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I'll stick with my 3.5 again. Y'all know the infamous green sheet. Green sheet.
I love it.
Every time. 3.
To make your stars green.
Right, yes. So, as Brian noted, green stars, please. But yeah, I echoed Dana's points, which is the Rose character. Even though I'm paying tribute to her, they did mess up, and that could have been much stronger. You had a lot of time for this movie. Time is not an issue when you've had so much development. You had instances where her character really could have been developed. You could have used those mine scenes and stretched those out. You know, there's lots of different ploys I think they could have put in there easily, and it wouldn't have taken away from it. It was a little bit long. We already mentioned that. It was a good video. It was a good film, you know, as all of us has really alluded to. So I would see it again. But 3.54 is kind of where I was. But I'll stick with my 3.5. It's a solid film, but can't go higher than that. Close it out. So this ends the L5 podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
L5, baby.
So tweet that to Stephen King.